r/OutOfTheLoop. Decision Technical 461 says, "What's going on with the backlash for Assassin's Creed Shadows? I just saw the trailer on YouTube and the comment section is full of people hating on Ubisoft. Not only that, but the like count is significantly lower than the dislike count. Trailer link, what did Ubisoft do recently? Edit, now it looks like the video has been unlisted. Yikes." Ninus Ward says, "Answer, several points. The game takes place in feudal Japan and has two protagonists. One female Japanese ninja type and one black samurai. Many are angry because Ubisoft decided to make the single black person who was around in Japan at the time a playable character instead of using one the millions of Japanese they could have chosen instead. There are allegations of wokeism and blackwashing. The game has a Ultimate Edition that sells for $130. Ubisoft's price gouging has been a point of anger in the past, with them saying it's AAA, quadruple A, development. Ubisoft titles have been received very bad for the last couple of years in general, and are blasted with ridicule for their cookie cutter and uninspired gameplay. People are expecting this to be just as bland and boring as the previous titles. That's all the drama I know about the game." Kazakh says, "Stupid nitpick, but I've been seeing this a lot in regards to games recently. It's price gouging, not gauging." Ninus Ward says, "Thanks. Fixed. I thought it looked strange, but autocorrect didn't mark it as wrong, so I dismissed it. I'll do better in the future." Ricketstamoon says, "Answer, Yasuke being a real person isn't the issue. Every playable ACK character was a made up person. Yasuke is the first real person. The problem is Asian male erasure. Every other ACK mainline game had their region representative as a native man, or close to it, and usually paired with a native woman. This is Asian erasure / gendered racism. The first mainline East Asian setting ACK game ever, and they picked a black man over an Asian man. To this date we have 3 playable black men, Adwal, Bayek, and now Yasuke. 2 Asian women, Xiaojun and Ao. 2 black women, Aya and Aveline. When it came time to pick for the first East Asian mainline setting, we still have 0 playable Asian men. You can see this constant male Asian erasure in the recent hit Shogun TV show, based on an outdated book, where the main character is white with the most screen time in a Japanese setting. More examples in the West: The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, Bullet Train, Tokyo Vice, 3 Body Problem, and the list goes on. Also rumor has it Yasuke / Nao are LGBT+. r/OutOfTheLoop. Sonella Nuts says, "What's going on with Terrance Howard saying 1x1 equals 2? He is also talking about disproving gravity because ancient mathematicians thought the earth was flat? Fact check, does Terrance Howard have a PhD? Actor's educational background explored amid Joe Rogan interview, MSN.com. Part Bisson says, "Answer, guy is a loony bin who keeps claiming he has found math proof that conventional math is wrong." Avanarus says, "And he's been dropped from every project he's been in over the last decade plus for his behavior and for how difficult he is to work with. It sounds like undiagnosed mental illness being enabled and encouraged by those around him. Or just extreme stupidity being enabled and encouraged by those around him." Nastriel says, "I always wondered why he turned into Don Cheadle." Mr. Badidia says, "Answer, Terrance Howard first introduced us to a new system of thinking called teriology in a Rolling Stone interview in 2015, where he revealed his theory that 1x1 was actually 2. In response to his career decline, the formerly red-headed little mother, Frick, did what he had to do. He continued to love himself by buying scissors, wire, magnets, and vast numbers of sheets of plastic. He had a theory. It might seem crazy, it may even be crazy, but a long time ago he'd gotten hold of this notion that 1 times 1 doesn't equal 1, but 2. He began writing down his logic, in a language of his own devising, that he calls terraology. He wrote forward and backward, with both his right and left hands, sometimes using symbols he made up that look foreign, if not alien, to keep his ideas secret, until they could be patented. In 2013, he got married again, to an LA restaurateur named Mirapak, and the two would spend up to 17 hours a day cutting shapes out of the plastic, and joining them together into various objects meant to demonstrate not only his 1x1 theory but many others as well. While no outlet can come right out and say it for legal reasons, the reasoning behind terraology is almost certainly some variety of mental illness. Relatedly or unrelatedly, several of his exes have accused him of physical abuse. r/OutOfTheLoop. Jonovan says, "What's up with Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito and us flags?" On the 17th of January 21, an upside-down Stop the Steal flag flew outside the Alito's home, a week after the 1st of June 21 attack on the US Capitol. 2 years later, in July and August 2023, an Appeal to Heaven/Pine Tree flag, also carried by the Capitol attackers on the 1st of June 21, flew outside the Alito's vacation home. My question is, why is this coming up now? Why wasn't it discussed when it happened? I guess the 2023 one could have been prompted by hearing about the 2021 one recently, but what brought the 2021 one into the news now? Riadaf52 says, answer, both instances were very briefly noted by neighbors, and maybe the local paper, and not extensively investigated. Recently, there has been a lot of scrutiny of the Supreme Court, especially Justice Clarence Thomas, who has accepted lavish vacations, vehicles, and money for his mother's home, and whose wife has been accused of being involved in the Stop the Steal movement. Just so, Alito is coming under closer scrutiny. I think one of the reasons is that the Supreme Court finally adopted a code of ethics in November of last year, but failed to create any form of accountability. The actions of Thomas and Alito are of questionable ethics. Supreme Court justices are supposed to be nonpartisan. Their first and foremost concern should be the Constitution and the laws. Both of these justices are seen to have been involved in a very partisan act, the Stop the Steal movement, which involved fake electorate and a violent insurrection on January 6th. There should be consequences for their action, or at the very least they should recuse themselves from cases involving these events. Dex86 says, Supreme Court justices are supposed to be nonpartisan. Their first and foremost concern should be the Constitution and the laws. Both of these justices are seen to have been involved in a very partisan act, the Stop the Steal movement, which involved fake electorate and a violent insurrection on January 6th. There should be consequences for their action, or at the very least they should recuse themselves from cases involving these events. To be hyper-specific here, Thomas's wife was not only part of the orgs that were doing the whole Stop the Steal movement, but was there on January 6th. With normal judges, you aren't supposed to take cases that could be inferred to directly be impacted, or impact people in your close circle. So for example, if say I was a judge, and asked to rule on a case, but one of the parties bringing the case in front of the court employed my wife, or sibling, or parent, current legal ethics would say the best course of action would be to recuse myself to avoid the appearance of impropriety. r/OutOfTheLoop. Rebellious Raviolas says, what's up with r/fluentinfinance, and why is it always on the front page of Reddit? I've been seeing this more and more lately on the front page of Reddit. It's usually a screenshot of a tweet related to healthcare or taxes designed to make people argue. The comment sections are so weird though, because one day they may be overwhelmingly to the right politically, and a similar post the next day will have comments that are overwhelmingly politically left. It's hard to tell if the comments or posts are even made by actual humans. Is this a weird astroturfing/bot situation? It's suspicious to me that it would be so frequently featured on the front page seemingly out of nowhere during an election year. Prasiatko says. Answer: the sub seems mainly focused in driving traffic to the website and newsletter linked in the pinned posts, and which is run by the head moderator. So there's an incentive to get as much traffic to the subreddit as possible to see those links. Posting takes that are popular on Reddit or that lead to lots of arguments in the comments is an easy way to do that. Your thoughts about botting probably aren't unfounded either, given that almost all the hot posts come from the same handful of accounts. Edit: HMM ridiculous message after posting this. Must have touched a nerve somewhere. Eolithic Frustum says. They use engagement bait as a lead generation strategy. It's all marketing. Tenald says. What are they marketing? Besides the election they don't own. Martial Bob says. Answer: it's a subreddit that relies on screen caps of tweets of finance takes. They sound like they make clever points, but merely rely on the ignorance of the average person. D'Alembert says. Answer: is this a weird astroturfing/bot situation? If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, while it is conceivable that it might not be not a duck, the best course of action is to treat it as a duck. Reddit is overflowing with this shit, and various astroturf/bot/troll groups are very good at reaching the front page. I think we are long past the point where there is much hope of being correct by giving the benefit of the doubt to suspicious activity. We are swimming in shit now, so when something smells like shit it doesn't make sense to also taste it to try to be sure. That said, when it looks like astroturf/bot activity, it's probably amateur hour. The impression I get from studies of troll farms and social media disinfo campaigns is that the more sophisticated operations are basically indistinguishable from proper activity unless you have access to in-house tools, which us regular users don't. Do not get your info or your sense of the general state of things from social media. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.